And both chats seem to be working, so gotta pop on the music. Tavern music has no right to hit this hard, but it does. Let's see, display. Now, should be popping up on the screen any second. Come on. There we go. So, Daedric artifact tier list plus a little bit of lore. So, first, what have we got? First on the list, we've got Azura's Star and the Black Star. So first on the list, we've got Azura's Star and the Black Star. They're basically soul gems. In Skyrim, you need soul gems to enchant items and to recharge those enchantments on the same items. Soul gems break when you enchant. These are soul gems that do not break. You can recharge them with souls whenever you want. You got two kinds of souls, white souls and black souls. White souls belong to monsters, black souls belong to people. This artifact belongs to or was made by, I don't know what the fuck, I'm not a lore expert, but well, I feel like, yeah, it's the artifact of it's the artifact of Azura. She's like the goddess of dusk and dawn, the moon and the stars, some abstract shit like that, but yeah, what you have. Oh fuck, come on. I had something that I was gonna say, and I'm not used to hearing my voice in the headphones. The soul gems in Skyrim are gonna vary in power, ranging from petty to grand. The stronger the monster you kill, the better the soul gem you're gonna need to fit its soul in it. The stronger the monster you kill, the bigger the soul gem you're gonna need to fit the soul in it. Black souls are as strong as grand souls, the strongest white souls, but they belong to people. Gameplay-wise, black soul gems are harder to find, but a lot more convenient, because finding a monster with a grand soul is much easier than just killing some random guy on the street. Basically what happens is, this is the default artifact. There's this evil wizard called Malin who's dying, and he wants to sustain his soul with this thing, with Azura's Star. But, as a person, he has a black soul, and Azura's Star is a white soul gem. So he corrupts it. You go into the star, you kill Malin or his soul or whatever, and once that's done, and then you're presented with a choice. You can either return Azura's Star to Azura, and she'll purify it into a white soul gem, as intended, or if you could just not return it, and you get the Black Star, which is the corrupted version for black soul gems. The Black Star, I think, is an S tier item, because I get this thing on pretty much every playthrough. An infinitely reusable black soul gem, I think, is useful. An infinitely reusable... Fuck. This is a recording for a video, that's why I'm trying to say this without, you know, breaks. You basically get this... Fuck, what was I gonna say? Does this tier list affect the Rocket League servers? No! I hope not. Nobody's, Nobody's watching it. So... Maybe it'll get so many views that it'll affect the population on the servers and nobody's actually gonna be in it. And nobody's gonna be playing the game. But yeah. Black Star S tier because you can need it in every playthrough. And for the same reason, Azura Star F. It's not a useless item, but you have to pick between the two. There's no use case where this is better than the Black Star. Even worse, hold up. Even worse what? You mean even worse if nobody's in the servers? RIP player base. I don't actually know how the Rocket League player base. Our boy here's been playing Rocket League for a long time. There's no use case where Azura Star is better than the Black Star. Unless you want to like roleplay as the loyal follower of Azura, you would never get this over this. It's not bad, but the Black Star and having to choose between the two makes this one useless. Because you're always going to go for the Black Star. You streaming Twitch as well? Yeah. I'm live on Twitch at the same time. The Twitch chat is a little bit better. Yeah. The chat on YouTube is like 15 to 20 seconds late. I see there's a bit of a delay. Hello guys, see, yeah, the Twitch messages appear. Welcome, first of all. The Twitch messages appear immediately. The YouTube messages I see after like a 20-second delay. Right, next we've got the Dawnbreaker. Let me just everybody relax, calm down. A new hand touches the beacon! Is that enough just to put this thing in F tier? No. It's interesting for an unholy weapon, because it's not unholy. At least it doesn't look like one. The artifact of Meridia, the goddess that hates everything that is unholy in the mortal realm. We're looking at possibly, I would put it in a B tier. It does 10 points of fire damage to everything. Or was it 15? I think it was 15. It doesn't matter. I remember it was not much fire damage, which is sort of a problem that you're going to run into with Daedric artifacts in general, because later in the game, they are easily upgraded past and replaced. Next, we would have... Well, first of all, hold on. We didn't even talk about this, sorry. When you kill an undead with it, it has a unique effect because it causes an explosion that makes other undead around you also die or start running in fear, which is cool, but again, the fire damage is not that great. Still a cool weapon. I'm gonna leave it at B tier. It would be an easy S tier if the fire damage enchantment on it was better, but you can just basically endgame, you can craft a better version of this anyway. The Ebony Blade. This one belonged to Mafala, if I'm not mistaken, right? Was it? Hang on, I got this. I had this shit written down. Right, it belonged to Mafala, who's the Daedric Prince of Lies and Secrets. The thing with Mafala is, she has you kill your friends to get this weapon, and a lot of people don't like that about it. The sword itself is decent. It's a contradictory playstyle, which I find interesting about it. It's basically a two-hander that functions like a one-hander, but... it's affected by your two-handed perks, but it has the stats and attack speed of a one-hander. When you get the sword, its enchantment is weak, and you empower it by killing followers or NPCs you've befriended, done quests for. You gotta kill friendlies to make it stronger. At full power, it drains 30 points of health per hit, which means that also, it doesn't just heal you per hit, it adds another 30 to its base damage, which 30 is not bad, the enchantment is not bad, the sword swings pretty fast. Again, B tier, because it's a good weapon, but you can out-enchant it in endgame. Or even in the mid to late game. I don't know so much about mid-game. It's hard to get 30 life drain, so that's cool, but again, this can be replaced relatively quickly, especially I think the quest requirement for this was like level 30. What's faster, light or sound? Light, why? Well, sound if it's Meridia's beacon when you click it and she starts screaming at you. That's faster than light, but usually light. Ask Zias, bro. Bro, do you know Zias and Blow? Nope. I do not know either of these. Wait, these are two different people asking me about this. Can I send you a clip? It's really funny. No, wait, what are you... Yeah, two people are asking me about what... Yeah, sure, send a... I think you can send a link in chat, right? Fuck it, we're a reaction streamer now. Right, pause the music. Let's hope we didn't get sent something that might get me banned.
Sound? Think so? That's what yours is, dude.
Testing of lighters. What?
Sound, bro. That was fast as though. I ain't gonna.
What the fuck?
Now that time, let's do 1-1 then. 1-1. Let me give it a head start. Sound, bro. Sound.
What the fuck? Okay, I've never seen this.
No, that was the top.
So this is what you were referencing, okay. Fuck, man. Who thinks of this shit? Just to test it out like that. Okay, so sound apparently. Right, Ebony Blade can be, it can be enchanted past, it can be outcrafted. For that, we're gonna leave it in B tier. The Ebony Mail, though, is weird. Because it's really similar, it's got a lot of similarities to the Ebony Blade, but it belongs to Boethia. It's not, it doesn't belong to the same Daedric Lord, which is weird. Or else. Sorry about that. What? Why are you asking me here? What are you... What is this? Let me get down to... Sorry, because I keep scrolling around a script, because this stream is technically a recording session for a video. So that's why I keep going silent. Well, a script, more like bullet points to talk about. Right, it's got a lot of similarities, but it's not... It doesn't belong to the same Daedric Lord. The Ebony Blade belongs to Mephala, this one belongs to Boethia, the Ebony Mail. Apart from having ebony in the name and being made of ebony, they're both tied to betrayal, right? You gotta kill your friends to upgrade the sword, and you gotta sacrifice a follower to get the Ebony Mail. They're both contradictory playstyles. This is a two-hander that functions like a one-hander. This is heavy armor with heavy armor stats, but low weight. And an enchantment on it that lets you sneak with it, basically, so you can sneak with heavy armor, which you can't usually do. The enchantment on it muffles your movement, so you can sneak with it, which you can't usually do. It allows you to sneak in heavy armor. It's affected by your heavy armor perks, and when you're not sneaking in combat, it has a little radial effect that deals poison damage to nearby enemies. I am going to put it in S tier. It has great armor value, low weight, and both the poison damage and the muffled movement enchantments are not things that you can enchant on a chestplate. So we got a rare scenario here where you've got a Daedric artifacts that you can just craft a better version of later in the game. Also, you know, fucking playing a playstyle where you're a big clunky warrior with heavy armor sneaking around adds to the goofiness of Skyrim. Yeah, this grotesque beauty. Disgusting and beautiful. Okay. So, the Mace of Molag Bal has something that I really like about it. A lot of the time, Daedric artifacts in Skyrim, because Skyrim is as much about roleplay and as about immersion as it is about gameplay. And this is one of those situations where the lore affects the gameplay. The Mace of Molag Bal has really good damage, but what's good about it, what's even better about it, is it has an effect on it. Its enchantment absorbs health and stat, like how this used to drain health. This drains stamina and magic. In Skyrim, your gameplay is based around your health, your magic, and your stamina, your main three resources. And this absorbs magic and stamina. Also casts soul traps, so that's convenient, so you don't have to manually cast it on enemies when you want to fill a soul gem. But here's what's interesting about it, what I say, the lore complementing the gameplay complementing the lore, rather. Molag Bal, the guy that made this fucking thing, the god that made this, is also known to be responsible for vampires, for the existence of vampires. There was basically this priest lady called, what was her name? This was written here. Hang on, I got it in the bullet points. LeMay, right. So there was basically this priestess called LeMay, who Molag Bal roped so brutally, and in such horrific ways that mortals can't comprehend. Nor imagine. Yeah. So there was basically this priestess called LeMay, who Molag Bal roped in such brutal ways that mortals cannot imagine nor comprehend. Bro basically clapped her in 12 dimensions, and the assault was so brutal that it turned her into the first vampire lord. The reason that this is relevant to the mace is because if you become a vampire in Skyrim, your base vampire ability is Drain Life. My internet is shit, bro, it keeps buffering. Man, that sucks. I don't know, maybe try, hang on. I'm gonna link it. I'm gonna link the stream. I'm gonna link the YouTube stream in the Twitch chat, because I think Twitch's might be, yeah, I should probably have an easier... Oh wait, no, never mind, you can just click. I forgot I have a thing for that. Under the stream there's a thing that links to the channel. You might have less of a buffering problem on Twitch. I forgot that I put that there. I came here for the hot tub content next week. Hot tub stream next week, I promise. But yeah, your base vampire ability is Drain Life. The Mace of Molag Bal is a one-handed mace, meaning you can dual wield it with it. It drains magic and stamina, so you can refill all three of your resources when you combine Drain Life as a vampire and the mace. The Mace of Molag Bal is of Molag Bal. Molag Bal is also the guy that made vampires. I'm gonna put it in A tier. The gameplay complements the lore, and the mace is also really good. That's one thing that I love about a lot of these Daedric artifacts, is that the gameplay does complement the lore. Oh boy, we got a doozy next, the Rueful Axe. A lot of this axe has a lot of fanboys. A lot of people absolutely love this weapon. No, I'm lying. Nobody uses this. So, the Rueful Axe, apart from being like, in my opinion, kind of a generic looking weapon, aesthetics-wise, it does 20 points of stamina damage, which is not to be confused with drain stamina. It does not refill your stamina, it just makes your opponent lose stamina when you hit them. It doesn't make them lose a lot of stamina, and again, it doesn't replenish it, and you have to choose between this and the mask. It's like the stars, like the Black Star and the Zero Star, another thing where you have to choose between the weapons. If you want to use like a Daedric Row weapon or like a cool artifact, I don't know why you would use the Rueful Axe over Volendrung. Volendrung not only takes... Volendrung absorbs stamina, it doesn't do stamina damage, and it absorbs 50. This just does 20 stamina damage, and you have to kill a dog with it to get it. So, basically, it belongs to Clavicus Vile, the Daedric Prince of Deals. Clavicus Vile is a Daedric god. He has a dog, Barbas, who is also a Daedric god. And you get the axe during the quest, and he says, okay, you can keep the axe if you kill Barbas with it. So, I'm gonna put this thing in F tier. It's like dog killer to be to get a shit weapon, and also you get to you have to not get this. You have to not get the mask. You have to kill a dog, and then you get a shitty weapon. If you don't kill the dog, however, you get the double bonus of not being a dog killer and getting the Mask of Clavicus Vile. I'm gonna put the mask in D tier because it's not very combat useful, but it's still useful. So what it does is it increases your speech skill and it reduces prices. It also has a 5% magic or regen enchantment on it, which does not matter because nobody uses it in combat. People just equip this when they're talking to vendors to get better prices. It's a use case. Whenever you're shopping, you use this item. Barbas shall not be killed. Fuck no, ain't nobody gonna kill our boy Barbas, especially not for this thing. I don't know what Bethesda was thinking. And yeah, you're not a doggy killer, and you get this. Its use case is just talking to vendors, not great in combat, but still good enough. That's why I didn't put it higher on the list, because no combat use. Oh boy, this one. The meme. So, hang on, scrolling through the bullet points. Mehrunes Razor. The dagger of... What the fuck was his name? Why am I fucking... Mehrunes Razor, no shit, it's Mehrunes Dagon, right. Mehrunes Dagon, the guy who was like the final boss in Oblivion, or a physical form of him was. This meme of a weapon is a great dagger. It has the same damage as a Daedric dagger, or close to it, I think. I think it has the same as a Daedric dagger. So yeah, it's a great weapon, like a good base weapon, but the enchantment on it. 2% chance, or 1.98 to be exact, percent chance, to one-shot anything. Only Mirak and Karstag are immune to this effect. Alduin the World Eater, a dragon demigod. Alduin the World Eater, a dragon demigod, Harken Lord of Vampires, and even the Ebony Warrior can both get one-shot, potentially one-shot, if you boop them with this emo, edgy, goth kitchen knife. A or S? See, now I'm kind of torn. It's definitely, I would definitely put it above the Mace of Molag Bal. It's also something that you can't... Maybe I should put it... Yeah, I'm gonna put it in S tier because it's another thing that you can't enchant out of. The only reason I'm not putting it at a higher S, like over the Ebony Mail or whatever, I usually play warrior builds or mage builds, like stealth builds. Unlike the meme of just constantly playing a stealth archer, I almost never play stealth in Skyrim. So that's just kind of like a personal subjective thing. But yeah, this is an S tier. 1 in 50 hits is a one-shot. Basically anything that's strong that'll take more than 50 hits to kill anyway, you're guaranteed to kill it. Also, there's the thing in Skyrim where you can just like reload the save until you eventually one-shot. That's the thing. Nord and Sword, fuck yeah, that's exactly how we're doing it. Nord racism, killing elves, Stormcloaks. What have we... The Ogma Infinium, oh boy. Hermaeus Mora, the Daedric Prince of Knowledge. He's basically Bethesda's version of a Lovecraftian god. His whole shtick is that he hoards knowledge. He steals knowledge and hoards it, and with that, he wrote this unholy thing with incomprehensible gibberish information that turned a guy into ash when he tried to read it, but when the player reads it, you get to pick between 3 paths, right? Magic, stealth, and warrior, basically the holy trinity of single-player RPGs. And whatever you pick, all the skill trees related to that, path level up 5 times. I'm gonna put it in C tier because it's useful for pretty much every build, but almost everybody plays a build that uses a combination of like warrior, mage, whatever. So you're gonna inevitably end up leveling some useless skills. The Ring of Namira. So here's the thing with the Ring of Namira. She's the Daedric goddess of basically cannibalism and everything that is disgusting. What was she, the Daedric? Decay, yeah, darkness, decay, and cannibalism. In order to get this ring, you need to join a cannibal cult. You gotta befriend a wizard, no, not a wizard, a priest. And you gotta trick him into becoming your unholy sacrifice, and then you gotta eat his balls. When you get this weapon, it does a pretty good buff. It gives you a plus 50 to your stamina, which is great. Plus 50 to your stamina, and plus 50 to your health, and 50% to your health regeneration. When you cannibalize a corpse, it gives you the ability to eat people when you kill them, so you basically roleplay as a cannibalistic Patrick Bateman, and you eat corpses to maintain the buff, and the buff itself is pretty good. I'm even gonna put it above Dawnbreaker in B tier. Next, the Sanguine Rose. So, imagine this, right? Picture this. You meet this weird guy in a tavern. He seems friendly. He offers you a few drinks. You heartfully oblige. You have a good time, but then everything goes black. You wake up in a temple to a priestess accusing you of fondling the statue of their goddess. You proceed to go on a quest to backtrack what happened when you were blacked out, and what you did in your intoxicated state. Intoxicated, of course, being Elvish for shit-faced. You run around in Skyrim to find out what you caused, and you find out that you caused some degree of mischief in your holly jolly state, including but not limited to finding like we said before, fondling a statue of a goddess in a church, stealing a man's goat and selling it to a giant, and marrying a hagraven. The quest eventually leads you back to your mysterious drinking friend, and it turns out that he was Sanguine, the Daedric god of poor life choices. He's so pleased with the party that you had last night that you totally remember that he gives you the Sanguine Rose, which basically just gives you the ability to summon a Dromora Lord, which is a master level conjuration spell otherwise. There's a few things that I like about this weapon. First of all, the questline is fucking hilarious. Second, it is a staff in Skyrim that is not completely useless, which is rare. That is rare. It complements almost any build, because especially if you're not good at conjuration, you can just use the staff anyway and summon a pretty powerful summon. The Dromora Lord is a pretty good summon. So you can use this on any build, right? Just whatever build you're playing, add this staff to it, And you also get a Dromora Lord helping you. That's why I'm gonna put it in S tier. Obviously, you can't replace it, you can't enchant a better version of it later in the game, and you can use it whenever, for any build. The Savior's Hide or the Ring of Hersine, another situation where you gotta choose between two things. Hersine is the Daedric god of the hunt. He made werewolves and other werebeasts to be the ultimate predator. You do this quest where you follow a guy who's a werewolf, and if you decide to kill him, you get the Savior's Hide. Good armor value, it's light armor, really cool aesthetic-wise. It has a decent bit, I think it was 25% Magicka resist, and 50% poison resist, which the second part we don't really think about, because poison resist in Skyrim is kinda useless. Not many things do poison damage, and it's not something that you're worrying about often. I'm gonna put it in C above the Augma Infinium. A high C, maybe even the lowest B, I don't know, something like that. I think high C is decent. If you don't kill him though, you get the Ring of Hersine. Now, one thing about the Ring of Hersine, when you first get it, you can't take it off, and then when you complete the quest, you can take it off. That kind of ruins it for me. I kind of like the idea of being cursed and being unable to take it off. That would be cool because it basically does nothing and it wastes your ring slot, unless you're a werewolf. When you're a werewolf in Skyrim, you can only transform into a werewolf once in a Skyrim day, and you have to maintain the transformation by killing people and eating them. If you lose the transformation, you gotta wait a Skyrim day. It has a 1 Skyrim day cooldown to turn into a werewolf again. This thing removes the cooldown, basically. I'm gonna put it in a low B tier. The reason it's not higher is this would be an A or an S tier depending on how good werewolves are, and in vanilla Skyrim, werewolves do not scale great in late game. Werewolves do not scale great at all. So yeah, that's why. If werewolves were better, yeah, the no cooldown thing would be great, but for now, not for now, but for the vanilla game, this game is fine. If you're modding werewolves, and you got like stuff that enhance the skill tree and whatever, then yeah, get this ring. Because, you know, no cooldown and just be a rampaging beast all the time. Right, next we got the Skeleton Key. So, the Skeleton Key is the Daedric artifact of Nocturnal. The Daedric Prince of Shadows, Secrets, and Thieves. Lore-wise, this fucking thing is said to be able to unlock any door, both physical and metaphorical. Meaning that, by metaphorical, it means like it can unlock one's full potential. Somebody uses the Skeleton Key on themselves. I don't know how you use the Skeleton Key on yourself. I don't know where you are supposed to insert it in order to unlock your full potential, but yeah. If you find the right way to use it through experimentation, I don't know, maybe it should be called the Sounding Key, I don't know how it works. Lore-wise, you can unlock your full potential, whatever that means. Gameplay-wise, though, it's a glorified lockpick. Now, to be fair, this is a turn-in item. Even though it's technically a Daedric artifact, it is a turn-in item. It's not an item that you actually go and you seek out. When you use the Skeleton Key, if you try to use the Skeleton Key if you try to pick a lock before you turn in this quest, before you turn in the item, you will see that your character is using the Skeleton Key, which is a nice little extra detail that they added, and it doesn't break. Lockpicks break, this thing doesn't break, so you have infinite lockpicks if you, for whatever reason, choose not to destroy it. But when you fail lockpicking, instead of breaking, it comes out of the lock, so you have to start over again, so that can be annoying. Whereas if you get the, if you get the lockpicking perk that makes lockpicks unbreakable, you can't fail. The lockpicks don't come out of the lock. So you get a better version of this with a perk. It's basically pretty useless, but I am going to put it in E tier. The reason that it's not F tier is, again, it's a turn-in item. It's not supposed to be something that you want. But Bethesda put in the extra effort to actually make you use this thing, kind of like an Easter egg if you try to pick a lock before you turn in the quest. And I think that's a nice little extra bit of detail, so that's why it's not in F tier. When you do turn in the quest, Nocturnal makes you one of our Nightingales. When you're a Nightingale, you can pick one of 3 special powers. And you also get the Nightingale armor set and some cool weapons. You would never want this over the Nightingale set. The Nightingale set is fucking cool. So yeah, that's the skeleton key. Next we've got, oh boy. Next we have the Skull of Corruption. It's something that's really weird because almost nothing about it makes sense. It's the weapon of Vermina, the goddess of nightmares. The way you discover it is you investigate a city where everybody's having nightmares, and you find out that the Skull of Corruption was the cause of these nightmares. When you get the staff, it's a damaging staff that does absolute dog shit damage. But if you use it, you break into somebody's house while they're asleep or whatever, if you use it on a sleeping target, it charges the staff with their dreams. So I guess roleplay-wise it's kind of cool. But again, nothing about it makes sense. When you fully charge it, every time you steal a dream, you get a few charges of attack, of buffed staff attack. But it goes from doing dogshit damage to sub-mediocre damage when it's charged, and you still have to charge it. For a weapon that you have to do something special with it, right, like cool roleplay, trying to steal people's dreams to charge it, I think it should have a pretty overpowered effect. Like, what if, when you had it charged, it shot a fear spell that also did damage over time? Yeah, that would be pretty overpowered, a fear spell that does damage over time. But you have to charge it with nightmares. So this way it's like you're shooting the nightmares that you've stolen at people. But yeah, it's just bad, and you have to charge it, otherwise it's worse. This weapon is just like, makes no sense. I don't know if I should put it in E tier for coolness. I'm gonna put it above... Yeah, for coolness I'm gonna put it above this fucking useless thing, but... Yeah, I don't see any use case for this other than you wanting to roleplay as a guy that's stealing people's dreams or whatever. Just like if you wanna... I bet there's gotta be mods for this. If you wanna use this, if you think this weapon is cool, just mod it. Spellbreaker. The Daedric artifact. First of all, it's the only Daedric artifact in Skyrim that is a shield. Spellbreaker is the artifact of the Daedric prince Periite, and Elder Scrolls players tend to have a very, very similar reaction when they hear that name. Periite who? Yeah, so Periite is easily the least known of the Daedric gods. He's the god of pestilence and disease, but also undiscriminatory balance. His whole thing is like the balance of nature. What Periite does is, it is his nature to let nature take its course. He lets the wolf hunt the elk. He lets the old man fall sick. He lets the old man fall ill. He lets trees wither and die so that new ones may grow. And because of that, he doesn't really intervene in mortal affairs very often. And that's why nobody knows about him, both in-game and in real life. What's interesting about him is he does intervene if somebody is fucking with his shit. Like, for example, if you could say that, like, somebody going mad in the Elder Scrolls universe is the doing of Sheogorath. Or if you can say, I don't know, somebody stabbing their friend in the back is the doing of Boethia or whatever. You can also say that the Dawnguard defeating Harkon, for example, a vampire lord who wanted to blow up the sun, is the doing of Periite, or influenced by Periite, because Harkon blowing up the sun would be disrupting his balance. Because Harkon blowing up the sun would be disrupting the balance. It would be disrupting what Periite protects. The shield itself, however, good shield, good armor value. The armor value on shields doesn't really matter because you can just upgrade the fuck out of it with blacksmithing. Its enchantment, though, it does whenever you block with it, it makes a ward come out. It summons, it casts a ward. Where, yeah, it casts a ward whenever you're blocking that absorbs 50 points of magic damage. So anything that does 50 points of magic damage or less is basically useless against this. And if it does say 60 damage, you take 10. What I like about this is you can stack it with that blocking perk that makes you take 50% less magic damage when you're blocking. So you got the physical damage reduction from the shield, from blocking like you normally would. And now you get, say a spell does 100 damage. Because of the enchantment, it only does 50, right? It absorbs 50 is taken out, a flat... It takes out a flat... Well, the enchantment takes a flat 50 points of damage out of that spell, so now it only does 50 damage. And you've got the 50% damage reduction perk while blocking, you're only taking 25 damage. You're reducing that spell's damage by 75%. I'm gonna put it in S tier as well. Why? You can't enchant out of it. It's a great shield, great for tanky characters. Shields, I'm gonna put it way up here. And I'll get to why I'm putting it way up here in a second. But yeah, it's not something that you can replace. All of the irreplaceable Daedric artifacts I'm gonna put in S tier because they're fucking cool. And if you want to make a build that does this particular thing, you need these particular artifacts, right? Sneaking in heavy armor, for example. That's how I'm deciding what I'm putting in S tier. But the reason I put it so high in S tier is because it's a shield. And with shields you get the max level perk where you can just block and sprint and knock shit down like a lunatic. It's the coolest perk in the game. It's the most hilarious build that you can go for. Shield plus heavy armor sneaking, I don't know. You can make some goofy shit in this game. Also, another lore thing. This fucking thing, the Spellbreaker was made by the dwarves, so it is unclear how it became Periite's artifact. Nobody really knows. Hang on. We don't know if, like, the Daedric lords somehow claim. Probably that's what they do, is when there's a cool artifact and they haven't made their own, weaker Daedric lords probably claim artifacts and make those artifacts spread their influence. Same thing with Volendrung. Volendrung was also made by the dwarves, and Malekith claimed it, I guess. It became his. Now, Volendrung. It belongs to Malekith. Basically, there was this Aedra, not Daedra, Aedra god called... What was his name as well? I got him right here. Volendrung. Volendrung, I think, is the goat. Yeah, Volendrung. The goat two-handed Daedric artifact. Basically, there was this Aedra called Trinimac. He fell from grace or whatever, and he became the Daedric Lord Malekith, and his followers became the Orcs. So now... I'm gonna redo that for the recording because I don't like... Yeah, the way that I read that out wasn't very cohesive. I'm gonna undry my throat, take a drink, and take two. Speaking of hot tub streams, I know you guys can't see, but your boy be taking his shirt off right now because it got fucking hot in here. Anyways, let's do take two, let's go. Volendrung. the GOAT 200 Daedric artifact. Instead of doing 20 points of stamina damage like this useless fucking thing, this thing absorbs stamina, so it actually gives it to you, and it absorbs a whopping 50. It's also a mace, which is the best melee weapon. It's also a mace, which is the best melee weapon type in the game, because only the mace's special thing is kind of useful later in the game. If anybody didn't know, swords in Skyrim can crit, but the way that crits work, or have a higher chance to crit, the way that crits work in Skyrim is the weapon's base damage is added. So the way that I understand it is, this is like, I actually might be wrong about this, but I'm like 99% sure this is how it works. The way that crits in Skyrim works is, let's say you got a sword that does 10 damage, and you hit with it and you crit, and it does 20 damage. But you upgrade that sword to do 100 damage. When you crit, it doesn't do 200, it does 110. A critical strike adds that sword's base damage to, no, sorry, it adds the upgraded damage. It doesn't, fuck. Take 2, yes. Take 3, or I guess, whatever take this is. So if you didn't know, swords in Skyrim, they can crit or have a higher chance of critting. And the way that crits work in Skyrim is the sword's base damage is added to the crit. It's not affected by perks. It's not affected by perks. However, let's say you have a sword that does 10 damage. You critical strike with it. It does 20 damage. But you have perks in skills and enchantments and whatever, and now that sword does 100 damage. It says on the stat that it does 100 damage because how much damage weapons do is shown on the weapon. When you have let's say a ring on in Skyrim that increases your melee damage, your one-handed damage by 40%, that is shown off on the sword. A sword that does 10 damage, it says 14 on it now. And then you got the perks, you've got all the skills, right? And now the sword, hypothetically, let's say, does 100 damage. When you hit with it, when you critical strike, it doesn't do 200 damage, it does 110, same as its base damage. That's why crits are weak. For swords, axes have like a decent bleeding effect early game, but the later you get into the game, the more useless the effect becomes, so you're not really noticing it. The bleed that axe does becomes insignificant, but maces ignore armor, and two-handers can ignore up to 90 armor. So Volendrunk being a mace is already a bonus. Two-handed weapons also have the big stagger effect. You can stagger enemies with them, and Volendrunk is the second fastest warhammer in the game. So for a big bonk stick, it's pretty fast. So you've got a fast swinging bonk stick that does great damage. It staggers enemies and it ignores armor. So what are you gonna do? Power attacks. Lots and lots of power attacks. But power attacks consume stamina. Volendrunk absorbs a lot of stamina. Unlimited power attacks. That makes it an easy A tier. Yeah, Volendrunk, like Spellbreaker, Volendrunk was also made by the dwarves. So it was claimed by Malakath. There was basically this Aedra called Trinimac, who fell from grace or whatever. And he became Malakath. He became the Daedric Lord Malakath, and his followers became the Orcs. Malakath is the Daedric Lord of... what is he the Lord of? He was the Lord of Curses and something else. We also have that here. Yeah, Malakath is the orc god of vengeance, curses, and smashing shit with hammers, I should say as well. Yeah, Malakath is the Daedric Lord of Curses. Fuck. Takes 69,000. Malakath is the orc god of curses. Malakath is the orc god of vengeance, curses, and smashing shit with hammers. So just for coolness and just everything else, I'm gonna put it in A tier. Aesthetically, I think Volendrung is probably my favorite looking Daedric weapon out of all of them, so I'm gonna put it ahead, like a really high A tier. The reason it's not S tier is eventually in Skyrim, once you're... its damage is pretty good, and so is its enchantment. But if you are good at enchanting in Skyrim, and you're playing like a high-level character, by the time you get to endgame in Skyrim, you can craft a better hammer than Volendrung, and you can enchant it with a better absorb life, with a better absorb stamina. So yeah, this can be, you can, the reason that Volendrung isn't S tier is because you can craft a better version of it later in the game. And now we save the best for last. The fan favorite, the weapon of the once mighty but now arguably even more dangerous Mad God. The weapon of Sheogorath. The weapon of Sheogorath, the Daedric Prince of Chaos, Madness, and Cheese Wheels. You heard right. You heard correct. Cheese Wheels. Gentlemen and the 3.4 ladies watching this, I present to you the Wabbajack. So the Wabbajack is, at least in my head, one of the most iconic weapons in gaming, or at least it is to me, I don't know. I'm just gonna leave it here so because I already picked it up. It's not C tier, I haven't rated it yet. So basically there was this god who was really powerful called Jiggalag. But then the other Daedra... So basically there was this really powerful Daedric god called Jiggalag, but the other Daedra made him into... But the other Daedric lords betrayed him and made him into the mad god... Take 69,001. So there was this Daedric god called So there was this Daedric god who was really powerful called Jiggalag. The other Daedric lords betrayed him and made him into the mad god Sheogorath. Then in Oblivion, he tried to become Jiggalag again and possibly succeeded, with the player character possibly taking his place as the Mad God. So the Sheogorath we see in Skyrim, that's an interesting thing. The Sheogorath that we see in Skyrim may not actually be Jiggalag, but instead might be your character from Oblivion. This is implied both in Oblivion, but also in lines in Skyrim. But also it's implied in Skyrim, in lines spoken by Sheogorath, where he personally and directly recalls things that the hero of Kvatch, the Oblivion character, has experienced. So what does the staff do? The Wabbajack. So what does the staff do? The Wabbajack, when used, has a random effect, many of which are extremely overpowered, but it can also backfire horribly. The random effects include, but are not limited to, changing the size of your target, a random elemental damaging attack, right fire, frost, or lightning, an insta-kill. Hold on, we can do that better. Those random effects include, but are not limited to, changing the size of your... The Wabbajack on use has a random effect, many of which are extremely overpowered, but it can also backfire horribly. The random effects include, but are not limited to, changing the size of your target, a random elemental damaging effect, an insta-kill, turning a target into cheese, turning a target into a sweet roll, turning a target into a gold coin. Summoning creatures to help you, summoning creatures to attack you, temporarily making targets ghostly so you can't attack them, but they can't attack you as sort of a crowd control, heals the target, buffs the target, makes the target invisible, etc. You can benefit your target as well. Another thing about this weapon is the fact that it does not have a level requirement, unlike all of these other ones. Meaning that you can get this thing at level 1 immediately when you start a playthrough. Imagine you're using this thing at level 1, fighting low-level bandits, and you turn one enemy into an easily killable chicken, but you turn another one into a Dramora. You are not ready for that, dude. You are not ready to face that fucker. That can backfire really badly, especially at level 1. With all that said, there is no place that you can possibly put the Wabbajack other than S tier. It's just too good. It is so goofy, it is so overpowered. This is like a there is not I almost, this was the last item, the Wabbajack. I almost made it through an entire stream without these bot messages. And it would have been my first time too. With all that said, there's no other place that you can... I'm gonna do that part again. With all that said, there's no other place that you could possibly put the Wabbajack other than S tier. I am going to just put it... It is my favorite thing in this game. I don't know, maybe that means I got a sense of humor, maybe that means I'm batshit insane, who knows. I just think the staff is too good. Well, like, you're just running around and people are turning into chickens and cheese and demons around you. It's absolutely insane. You can make... You're fighting a target that's really strong. You try to hit him with it, and he becomes invisible. And now you gotta fight an invisible target. I can't believe I haven't made a video with the Wabbajack. That's great content. Anyway, yeah, that's it. It's too good. It's too good in too many ways. I turned into a lich in Skyrim and played it with 2000 mods. Click this video right here to check that out. See ya. That was the outro for the video. But yeah, anybody watching, you can also watch that video. It's on the channel. The channel is linked. I am going to turn this off for a second. Pause the music. Make sure everything's in order, and yeah. Yeah, I think that was a pretty decent recording session. Gonna edit that down into a video now. Hopefully I'll be able to post this by Monday, and yeah. That's it for the stream. Short stream today. Bye-bye.